Busan, South Korea's second largest city, is a vibrant coastal metropolis known for its beautiful beaches, bustling ports and rich cultural heritage, including landmarks like Haeundae Beach and Pomosa Temple. It combines urban energy with scenic mountain and sea views, attracting tourists and locals alike. Jung Yoo-Jung, the infamous tutoring app killer, was born and raised in Busan. Her case shocked the nation in 2023 when she used an online tutoring app to lure her victim before committing a gruesome murder, reflecting a chilling side to an otherwise lively city. Born in October of 1999, Jung was abandoned by her mother when she was just 2 years old, and also abandoned by her father when she was 6, after he was imprisoned. As a result of this, Jung went to live with her grandfather, who also lived in Busan, in the Mandok-gong neighbourhood. Jung was noted to be a shy girl by her school classmates, who, quote, doesn't have a sense of existence in the class, as someone who didn't fit in well and was quiet. She would often sit alone and didn't interact with her friends often, other than during sports activities or when studying. Jung had aspirations to make something of herself, but failed to get into college, and at the time was studying to pass her civil service exam, but was struggling. She also had troubles financially, and her efforts to find a job after leaving high school in 2018 were somewhat fruitless. It's alleged that Jung lied during a job interview, saying she took the GED exam after dropping out of high school, but then went on to explain that she had actually graduated. She sent her CV several times to the same company, telling them that she was sociable and very active, but at the job interview she didn't answer any questions and had a very shy and quiet demeanour. She called the interviewer several times following, but they didn't respond. Jung did not appreciate that and swore down the phone at them. Without a job or education, Jung had plenty of free time, which she spent watching true crime shows and reading books about murder. She spent many hours of her time researching methods of how to conceal and dispose of victims. She grew curious as time went on and had a burning desire to know what it felt like to kill somebody, and this was when she set a plan in motion. She researched online and in her local library, specifically regarding modus operandi, and records showed Jung took out several true crime books from the library in the months leading up to the murder. Jung settled on a perfect victim in her eyes, vulnerable female home tutors. She joined a tutoring application, posing as a parent with a daughter in the 9th grade, looking specifically for English tuition. By May of 2023, Jung had approached approximately 54 different tutors, and by the end of the month had settled on her victim, a 26-year-old freelance worker and university student living in the southeast of Busan. On May 26, 2023, Jung Yoo-Jung disguised herself as a schoolgirl, dressed in a uniform she purchased online and cutting her hair short before heading to the tutor's home. As Jung looked incredibly youthful for her 24 years of age, with her new haircut and the fact she only stood at 4 feet 11 inches tall, the tutor willingly allowed her into her residence, fully of the belief that she was a 9th grade schoolgirl. After entering the residence, Jung stabbed the tutor approximately 110 times with a, quote, well-prepared weapon, cited in some Korean news reports as a sashimi knife. Following the murder, CCTV footage captured Yoo-Jung walking back to her residence and returning to the tutor's home with a black trolley suitcase. She then departed to a local store to buy some garbage bags and some bleach before returning to the tutor's home to dismember their body and pack her remains into the suitcase. Jung also used the knife to sever the victim's fingers, so it would be difficult for Busan police to identify them using biometric technology. Yu-Jeong also took the victim's phone, ID, and her wallet in order to create a traceless crime scene, but her planning was not as meticulous as she had first thought. Some believed she possibly took the victim's identity to steal it in order to apply for university again, but this was purely theoretical. As she left the victim's residence, Jung changed out of the blood-stained school uniform she was wearing and into the victim's clothes before taking a taxi towards a secluded forest park by Nagdong River in Yangsan at approximately 3 a.m. It was there that Jung removed the suitcase from the trunk and disposed of it in the woodland. The taxi driver was suspicious of what appeared to be bloodstains on the suitcase and the fact that Jung refused to let him place the suitcase in the trunk in the first place. The driver's suspicions grew further after watching this young woman disappear into the forest in the middle of the night with the suitcase, only for her to return and ask for a ride home approximately 20 minutes later after he had taken a smoke break. After dropping her off, he immediately contacted the authorities, who later arrived at the forest and discovered the remains inside the suitcase. On May 27th, Busan police arrested Jung Yoo-Jung after discovering blood-stained clothing and further remains at her home. Following her arrest, Jung didn't resist nor deny the crime and appeared very nonchalant. Jung was then questioned in regards to the crime, but her story kept changing. She initially claimed to have only moved the body after someone else had killed her, but later claimed the death happened by accident as a result of an argument. But eventually, after her family urged her to tell the truth, Jung admitted to killing the woman, purely out of curiosity, after developing a hunger for murder, after her interest in true crime stories and TV shows peaked. On June 2nd, Jung made a public apology and also apologised to the victim's family, claiming she was out of her mind. The trial of Jung Yoo-Jung commenced on July 14th of 2023 at Busan District Court. A prosecution official described the motive, quote, Jung Yoo-Jung needed a target to express her anger from childhood, including poor growth, discord with her family, and failure to go to college and get a job, and her psychopathic personality is believed to have affected the crime. Quote, long-term isolation, it seems, to wake up the monster in Jung Yoo-Jung. Pei Sang-hoon, a professor of police at Woosok University, said, following her incarceration, Jung pleaded for a more lenient sentence, as she claimed to have experienced hallucinations and had other mental illnesses at the time, but the court rejected this as they believed she meticulously planned the murder. Prior to the crime, Jung had searched online for survival murder and had even phoned her father 3 days prior to inform him that she intended to carry out something sinister. Quote, if I do something big, my father will suffer. I will die after committing something big. She heavily resented him for remarrying and for leaving her with her grandfather, and asked him to apologise for the hurt he had caused, but he refused. Some questioned if her actions were as a result of neglect or abuse as a child. However, her family denied any abuse of any kind. Her father said, quote, I don't know what the truth is because I was away from my daughter, but I remember that my grandfather and stepmother were more passionate parents than me. After her father remarried, Jung did not take this news well. After she first learned of her father's new wife at her own birthday party, she retreated to her bedroom and threw a picture frame across the room, shouted and told her father she never wanted to see him again. The feud between them spread to fights with her grandfather and stepmother due to this betrayal. Jung wrote to a reporter following her later imprisonment and claimed that she could not live a proper life due to years of abuse from her stepmother, but due to the abuse being historic, she did not have any proof. Mental health issues in regards to Jung Yoo-Jung was a heavy topic of discussion in this case. It's possible she suffered with bipolar disorder, consistent with manic, depressive, and mixed illustrations, or possibly autism. Opinions were divided on that. She didn't particularly show any psychopathic tendencies and said herself during an interview, quote, "I don't think I was out of my mind in regards to the crime," contradicting her previous claims, but professionals were divided over this. Jung scored high on a psychopathy test with a score of 28 out of 40. The normal score expected is around 15 or below. However, those with scores over 25 are considered psychopaths. Even after being shown photographs of the victim, Jung showed no emotion, only calm. Some believed this proved that she was psychopathic, but others disagreed. It should be noted that even if one is deemed psychopathic, it doesn't mean that that person will go on to commit murder. Authorities were of the firm belief that Jung's actions were premeditated and calculated, and at the trial it even came to light that the day prior to the murder on May 25th, Jung had invited a young woman for a walk near Nagdong River, not far from where she disposed of the victim's body the following day. Luckily for the young woman who walked with her, the trail was very busy, thus did not present any opportunity for Jung to murder that particular day. Jung had also previously tried to lure a teenage boy to the same location, but he got suspicious during their online exchanges that something was off and decided not to meet her. A verdict was delivered on November 24th of 2023, where Jung Yoo-Jung was found guilty of homicide, desecration, and abandonment of a corpse. The judge ruled that Jung had no mental illnesses that contributed to her decision to murder an innocent woman, as she had initially claimed, and concluded that her act to kill was carefully planned and executed. When it came to sentencing Jung Yoo-Jung, multiple options were brought to the table, including the possibility of the death penalty, but in the end she was given a life sentence in prison and a further sentence of 30 years of wearing a tracking device. She will be eligible for parole in 2043. The prosecution didn't believe that the sentence was harsh enough, with Jung's team asking for a lesser sentence. The case was then referred to Busan High Court in order to consider the death sentence, which hadn't been executed since 1997, but denied the petition for it in this case. The prosecution then moved their petition to the Supreme Court, but in June of 2024, their decision, following extensive evaluations, was that Jung Yoo-Jung's life sentence was satisfactory, given the severity of the crime she had committed. Jung's actions had a knock-on effect in Busan, especially her local community, where it was said that her actions, quote, spread fear in society that one can become a victim for no reason. It caused a major lack of trust within the community. The murder itself shocked the residents of Busan to its core. The victim of this horrendous crime has never been publicly identified. However, the family can take some comfort in the fact that the woman who had slain her so brutally was punished for stealing her life away. A life cruelly stolen, purely to satisfy morbid curiosity.